While Elon Musk and his band of idiots run around Washington, D.C. and break everything that they can get their hands on, Donald Trump is hiding away down in Mar-a-Lago. I'm not sure if he's on vacation or what, but I think he's been playing golf for the past 3 days. And need I remind you, he hasn't even been in office for an entire month yet. But I'm just wondering if this is just part of the plan. Donald Trump can send off his henchmen to do all of his dirty work while he can relax under the sun down in Florida. And then every once in a while, he'll pop his head up to do one of these strange press conferences just to remind you who is king. Got to get that press coverage in, right, baby? So let's go ahead and take a look at one of these strange press conferences. We'll go ahead and kick things off. I wanted to show you this clip because the more I watch Donald Trump signing these executive orders, the more I believe he has absolutely no idea what he is actually signing. So let's go ahead and take a look at this clip, and then we will discuss. And if you appreciate the work I do, please do remember to subscribe.
But before we do that, I just want to ask Will to come over. I've just finished signing some executive orders, and if we could start with that, Will, you might want to come up here and just explain what we did. Thank you.
Good afternoon, y'all. A short while ago, President Trump signed three items. The first is an executive order relating to the affordability and availability of in vitro fertilization and other fertility treatments. These are treatments that have become unaffordable for many Americans, or have been unaffordable for many Americans. And the executive order is a directive to the Domestic Policy Council to examine ways to make IVF and other fertility treatments more affordable for more Americans.
So then he goes on to list the other executive orders that Donald Trump just got done signing. But I bring this up because every time Trump signs one of these executive orders, he always has someone step up to the mic, explain what it is, what it's supposed to do, why they are doing it. And then Trump comes back behind him and says, yeah, so infertility, IVF, I must be the king of IVF. Things like that. Why can he not describe the executive orders that he is putting out? And to the executive order itself, talking about IVF, Donald Trump promised that he was going to make IVF free for everybody. But this executive order doesn't even come close to that. It's tells a commission to study ways to make it more affordable. That's not making it free for everything. But that's neither here nor there. I just wanted to show you this clip because I think it's weird that all of these conservatives used to bash on Biden for having all of his handlers when Donald Trump is the most handled individual in this country. He doesn't know what he's signing, probably doesn't even know what he's reading if he does read it, and then he signs it and then steps back up to the mic and then takes credit for it. It's all just performative. It's all just pathetic. He then goes on to say that the EU is being really mean to us because MAGA is always the victim.
You know, the EU has been very unfair to us. We have a deficit of $350 billion. They don't take our cars. They don't take our farm products. They don't take almost anything. They take very little. And we're going to have to straighten that out. And we will. I have no doubt about it. Yeah, go ahead, please.
This is just a load of crap. EU is one of our largest trading partners. I think we do nearly $1 trillion of trade with them. And to say that they're not taking our cars and our other, that is a load of hogwash. Donald Trump is just so casually able to lie, and the MAGA base just eats it all up. That is not how these relationships work. We trade with our trade partners. We, negotiate deals for these different partnerships, and then we trade accordingly. Donald Trump just wants everybody to believe that everybody's taking advantage of America when that is just not the case. We have the big dick energy. We get to reap the rewards of our strength on the world stage. And that is reflected in our trade agreements and, trade routes and partnerships. Donald Trump is just lying to you. America is retreating from the world right now using this type of language that everybody's taking advantage of us. So we're gonna retreat, we're gonna withdraw from the world stage, and then we'll be stronger all by ourselves. That is what is going on here, and I think it's absolutely despicable. He's then asked about what it would take to reconsider banning the Associated Press. For those of you that don't know, Donald Trump banned them from the White House or the Oval Office because they refused to say that the Gulf of Mexico was now the Gulf of America.
Yes, sir. I want to ask you a little closer to home. What would it take for you to reconsider the restrictions on the Associated Press? And secondly, some of your advisors are concerned with the Associated Press's style guide, using language and giving guidance to not use words like illegal immigrant or to use phrases like gender-affirming care. And they're concerned about that being an encroachment of liberalism in the way in which the press writes about things. Do you share those concerns?
Well, I do think that some of the phrases that they want to use are ridiculous, and I think, frankly, they become obsolete, especially in the last 3 weeks, because many things have happened in the last 3 weeks. And I didn't know about that, but I would say that if they want to use certain phrases like that, and I guess some are okay, but many aren't, but the Associated Press just refuses to go with what the law is and what is taking place. It's called the Gulf of America now. It's not called the Gulf of Mexico any longer. I have the right to do it, just like we have the right to do Mount McKinley, and nobody's even challenging that. But only the essentially, it's primarily the Associated Press, and I don't know what they're doing, but I just say that we're going to keep them out until such time as they agree that it's the Gulf of America. We're very proud of this country, and we want it to be the Gulf of America. Now, the Associated Press, as you know, has been very, very wrong on the election, on Trump and the treatment of Trump, and other things having to do with Trump and Republicans and conservatives. And they're doing us no favors, and I guess I'm not doing them any favors. That's the way life works. But
there it is again, that MAGA victimhood complex. Oh, the AP has been so mean to me. And when was it okay? Since when has it been okay for the President of the United States to go around and dictate what type of terms or phrases that news organizations can use? Did you hear what he said? Well, some of those things are okay, but some of them aren't. This is not okay. And he did not pass any laws to suggest that the Gulf of Mexico is now the Gulf of America. He signed an executive order and made the name change. That is not a law. But this is how Donald Trump thinks. He thinks he is a king. He wants to be a king. So anything he writes down on a piece of paper, he wants carried out 100%. That is just not how things work in this country. That's not how they're supposed to work. And nobody is challenging whether or not he has the authority to make these name changes. They're just refusing to abide by the name change because they have a global audience. And it has been around, what? It's been named the Gulf of Mexico for 400 years? So Donald Trump is just pathetic. He is a petty, petty man. And now he is going against the free speech principles that he proclaims, all because his feelings got hurt by a news organization who didn't want to abide by his commands. This is just not how things are supposed to work in this country, and I wish more people in the MAGA base would speak out against this stuff. We'll move on now to him talking about Ukraine. As most of you know, Donald Trump seems to be ceding everything to Putin, which is a damn shame coming from the President of the United States. But he is asked, what do you have to say to Ukrainians who might feel betrayed by the United States?
Do you have any message for Ukrainians who, after 3 years of fighting, might feel betrayed or disappointed at not having a seat at these initial talks in Saudi Arabia?
Well, I think I'm really disappointed in what's happened. I've been watching this for 3 years. It's a war that would have never happened if I was president, and I've been watching these people being killed at levels that you've rarely seen, not even close, since the Second World War. And I'm very disappointed. I hear that, they're upset about not having a seat. Well, they've had a seat for 3 years and a long time before that. This could have been settled very easily. Just a half-baked negotiator could have settled this years ago without the loss of much land, very little land, without the loss of any lives, and without the loss of cities that are just laying on their sides. You have those magnificent golden domes that are shattered, will never be replaced. You can't replace them. 1,000-year-old domes that are so beautiful, you can't replace that. The whole civilization has changed because of what. So when they're worried about not being seated, you mean somebody that should have gone in and made a deal a long time ago, You could have made a deal. This is one that could have made a deal. There was no talk of this during the Trump administration. Putin would have never, ever done it.
Trump is a weak and pathetic human being. This is a despicable, despicable answer. You are asked, well, what do you have to say to Ukrainians who might feel betrayed by the United States? The United States is supposed to be your ally, and now it seems like Donald Trump is just withdrawing any support, whether it be emotional support or actual real support, and then you're going and making arrangements to talk with Putin in Saudi Arabia, but you're not inviting the president of Ukraine? What is going on here? And then he doesn't answer the question. He turns it into all about him. It's all about him. Well, I'm really disappointed in the whole thing. A half-baked negotiator could have came in there and made a deal. Putin, an authoritarian tyrant, illegally invaded Ukraine. It is not Ukraine who needs to be the one putting the first foot forward in a peace agreement. If they wanted to end the war, Russia could withdraw today, and it would end. It is absolutely disgraceful that we have a president of the United States that is speaking this way about our democratic ally. He makes it even worse by saying what he says here.
And I think I have the power to end this war. And I think it's going very well. But today I heard, oh, well, we weren't invited. Well, you've been there for 3 years. You should have ended it 3 years. You should have never started it. You could have made a deal. I could have made a deal for Ukraine.
Did you catch it? Well, maybe they shouldn't have started the war. Ukraine didn't start this war. It was Russia that illegally invaded Ukraine. They are the ones who started this war. I just feel so bad for the Ukrainians who have been fighting strong to keep their sovereignty, to uphold their democratic values. And now we have a president of the United States who is getting in bed with the authoritarian Putin instead of working with our tried and true ally. What has America become? This is not the way that I would ever have expected America to conduct itself on the world stage. Instead of standing strong with our allies, we are cozying up next to dictators like Putin, people like Hungary. I mean, we are in a bad, bad place right now, and the president of the United States is going to make it a whole lot worse before things get better, and we need to be prepared for that. And it is my hope that somebody will talk some sense into Donald Trump and that he will actually include Zelensky in these peace talks, because they are our allies. They are the ones that we've been providing aid to. They are the ones who are trying to uphold democratic values that we have been taught to care about. Now all that seems to be going away. So Donald Trump can hang out down in Mar-a-Lago and pop up every now and again to remind the American people that he's the one in charge, but he is a weak and pathetic man. He is not a master negotiator. He's trying to extort Ukraine for all of their minerals, a 50% stake in their minerals, as they are being invaded by a tyrant. So again, weak, pathetic loser. That is the president of the United States. No matter how many press conferences he does, no matter how many exercises and propaganda he does, he is a weak and pathetic man. So I will leave it there for now. If you guys got anything out of this video, please do remember to smash that like button and subscribe. Maybe share it with a friend or two. I'd very much appreciate that. We have to build something here on the left that can adequately push back against this right-wing media ecosystem that just shovels shit for Donald Trump every day. So if you do appreciate my work, please do remember to subscribe. If you want to see how MAGA lunatics are basically saying that Donald Trump should just be allowed to be a king, go ahead and watch that video on the screen now. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next one.